Welcome to Bounce Around Charleston. I'm Randolph Miller. Coming up in today's show, is South Carolina's economy out of balance? Join working people, leaders from unions, clergy, and elected officials at the Raising Wages Summit. Members of the AFL-CIO will be there to tell us more about it. And just before Valentine's Day, Cupid's Chase 5K Run Walk, sponsored by Community Options Incorporated, is a great way for the community to show support for a good cause. Alan Rose, Executive Director for Community Options Incorporated, will be here to give us all the details. And after you have done all of that, unlace those sneakers, because you'll want to go out dancing. And we'll be here to tell you more about something called Strings and Salsa. It's an event happening at the Charleston Music Hall. And closing out the show, we'll have a dance performance right here on Bounce Around Charleston. Okay, we're here on Bounce Around Charleston. And standing here with me, I have Isaac Goburn, who's the coordinator for the Raising Wages Summit being hosted by the AFL-CIO, and Noel Crosby, who is the ILA Secretary Treasurer. Welcome to Bounce Around Charleston.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to talk about the Raising Wages Summit. Tell us about it.
Well, the Raising Wages Summit is a summit where folks across the country have came together to voice their dissatisfaction on income inequality. More specifically, in this presidential year, the AFL-CIO and its partners have decided to make it part of the national narrative in the first 4 primary states, which of course we know is Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, and South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Right, South Carolina. And so within that, this coming Saturday, I have the pleasure of helping coordinate this summit, which is going to bring together diverse voices to discuss the entire Raising Wages platform. As we know, South Carolina is one of those states whose economic development policies is designed to channel lavish millions to corporations, and what we've seen evidence of is that it provides jobs that actually keep working people in poverty.
What is the minimum wage as we speak?
Minimum wage is $7.25.
And what are we trying to raise it to?
It's our hope, and many people know the minimum wage clearly needs to be $15 an hour, which in essence is not enough for the average family to live what some believe is the American dream. But the minimum wage is one factor of it, but there's also many other things that go into the quality of life. We're talking about the extension of Medicare and Medicaid, right?
Okay, Brother Crosby, what is your role in this?
Well, my role is just to also be able to give a local sense of what's going on with the Raising Wage Summit, and just from the standpoint of what makes Charleston a great place to be able to have this summit. And if you look over the time and history of Charleston, I mean, there have been many struggles with labor that have gone on in Charleston, especially if you look back at the hospital workers with the late Miss Mary Moutry.
We just covered her last week.
Absolutely, and then a few years ago where we had, within the ILA, the Charleston 5 issue of being able to stand up for what you believe in as far as your working rights and privileges. So this makes Charleston a great place for the Raising Wage Summit to take place.
And this is the time of election.
Absolutely.
Yes,
which is a good time to talk about it.
Absolutely.
So have we been pounding our officials about this, those that are running?
I would have to answer on the national level, no. I mean, there are some candidates who scrape the surface of that, but this is a problem that we know is prevalent during this campaign season, where people have a tendency to say what they want you to hear, right? Every day there's people who are struggling and want to see the dignity of work, and they should have the right to wake up and look forward to a good job. Our goal is to through this summit is to create a level of accountability for those who are running for office, whether it's local or statewide, to really take into consideration the workers' plight and the idea that the race to the bottom is not the answer.
Okay, so what do we want the community to do on Saturday?
We want the community to come out and hear some of the points and issues, because we still have a lot of people who are still very unfamiliar with the wanting to increase minimum wage to $15, and so we want them to come out and hear a lot of the great talking points, and to understand that they're not alone. because we have a lot of, again, you have a lot of families who've struggled with, you know, the decision of, do I buy a gallon of gas or do I buy a gallon of milk?
Right.
You know, and so with this Raising Wages Summit is going to help them understand, no, we want that
because it's an economic issue.
Absolutely. It's an economic issue, and what we're trying to do is balance the scales of power, right? After Saturday, we want folks to collectively understand that we could demand prosperity and fairness. We want to defend our right for fair pay for fair work and end wage theft and a number of the like items to where workers don't have to work 3 or 4 or 5 jobs to make ends meet, and it's not right for corporations to get tax dollars siphoned out of this state while our educational system bears the brunt and is going in the opposite direction.
And we want to make sure that we're not only taking care of the wealthy, but the whole gamut of all citizens.
That's right.
Right. And inequality is the centerpiece of this conversation. It'll be concrete next steps that will be discussed amongst community, faith, labor, just workers in general, and those who desire to work. Not only those who are unemployed or underemployed, but those who desire to work on what are our next steps, because there's real things that we could do with our collective power.
I'm holding a card here that says, commit to 5 actions in 2016 to raise wages in South Carolina. Now that's a card. What does this card stand for?
This card stands for hope, it stands for optimism, and it actually stands for possibilities. As we know that no one person can do everything, but all of us could do something, right? And what that equates to is that we want the notion that unions are bad did not go unchecked. That good quality, well-paying jobs, there's nothing wrong with that, right? So we want to minimize the rhetoric. People will be asked to do potentially send letters to the editor, support legislative bills up in the State House in Columbia to raise the minimum wage, which is going to be here in the near future, and the like.
So when a person pledges this card, what are they pledging to do?
They're pledging to get in the mix of the machine that's going to help generate a better life for them and their families.
And these are the 5 points of the 5 actions?
Absolutely.
Right.
Make phone calls. Distribute worksite flyers. Talk to your friends. Submit letters. And then attend the rally.
Absolutely.
It's a force of action.
That's right.
Absolutely. Because we not only have an obligation to speak up for ourselves, but we don't have to look far for our neighbors and see that people are struggling. We have to speak up for the most vulnerable to increase our buying power, to refuel the economy and generate a more tax base. So we're no longer across this country, people are not accepting the idea that it's okay for the rich to get richer and the poor to get poorer, and there is no such thing as a middle class.
Okay, thank you, Brother Goldburn and Brother Crosby. Raising Wages Summit presented by the AFL-CIO, the American Federation of Labor and Congress of Industrial Organizations, will be here in Charleston on February 6, 11 a.m. to 3 at the Longshoreman Hall at 1142 Morrison Drive. This Saturday, they want you to come out and be a part. Thank you for being here on Bounce Around Charleston.
Yes, and if I might add, I ask every one of your viewers to text SC Wages to 235-246. SC Wages to 235-246. Thank you so very much.
And they'll have it on the screen. We'll be right back after this break.